So we'd now like to introduce you to Propel, which is a software we've developed to help support behaviour change. We'll start with a brief description and then give a short demonstration of the system's functionality. So Propel is an online goal setting and action planning platform which facilitates behaviour change. It is designed to reinforce the weak point of behaviour change process after an individual receives their feedback when they're ready to start working on their goals towards change. As we have seen, the difficulty of change process often means that individuals give up on their goals too soon after making them. Rather than letting the energy and enthusiasm fall, Propel uses insights from behaviour change research to help individuals maintain their drive until they successfully reach their goals. Propel can be used with any competency-based assessment. It has already been mapped to a number of personality assessments, including Facet 5, Dimensions, and the Work Behaviour Inventory. So Propel allows individuals to choose preset goals or design their own. It monitors and keeps track of progress against set goals and provides progress reports to individuals and their goal mentors, such as coaches or managers. It will conduct pulse checks at regular intervals to determine how much support an individual needs. The system will intelligently and automatically provide nudges to individuals at relevant points to maintain their momentum. It also includes a comprehensive resource library full of books, articles, videos, blogs, podcasts, and more to support and educate its users. Coaches can get involved with Propel through its special coach portal, which allows them to manage all of their coachees from one place, including the ability to directly communicate and collaborate. Coaches can also upload their own resources into the resource library and add them as action items to their coachees' plans. Propel is solidly based on behaviour change research, including some of the same research we've mentioned today. This table shows a number of theories of change and how they are manifested within the Propel system. We don't have time to go into each and every one of these today, but you may notice the presence of both the 70-20-10 rule and triggers. These relate to the goal setting, action planning, and practice plans within Propel, which I'll now demonstrate. Okay, you should now be able to see the Propel system on your screen. And the version of Propel that I'm going to be demonstrating today has been mapped to Facet 5. And this is a Big 5 personality assessment, and it has 13 different subfactors. When you first use Propel, it comes into play once an individual has completed the assessment and discussed their report in a feedback session or coaching session. The outcome of those sessions is often some goals to work on, whether it be that the individual wants to move towards a promotion or to become a better performer in their current role. There will be some goals which come out of that particular assessment. The individual would then receive a link to log into the Propel system. A welcome page can be added to the system, and this might contain information about the particular program the individual is going through, for example. And then the next stage will be where we start to set up our goals, which is the screen you can see in front of you now. So this shows the areas within the Facet 5 assessment. As I mentioned, this can be mapped to any assessments, and for example, if we were using the Dimensions assessment, we could show all of the subfactors within Dimensions here instead. So these are all shown within the factors and the subfactors and arranged accordingly. We can then choose to set a goal. So if I've had a conversation with my coach and it's turned out that determination was an area that I want to work on, I can set a goal for that particular area. The system will then take you through with some suggested goals, which have been developed via experience and coaches who have used the particular tool, and things that come out quite frequently in the determination area. But if I don't actually like any of those, I can select to set my own goal. So for this demonstration, I'm going to choose this top one here. To increase my participative style, involve others in decision-making processes. If I just decided to actually make my own, this box would just appear blank, but everything else would be the same. So here I can edit this particular goal. It gives me some ideas around how I should be setting a goal, that it should be smart, and gives some examples of the kind of things we could put in there. Once we're happy and finalised our goal, we can move down to select the due dates and the progress dates. So the first one here is required, and we need to say basically when other people will start to notice a behaviour change. So I'm going to say for this one, I'm hoping other people will start to see a change within a month. We can then say when we want to accomplish our goal. So given that Philippa Lally and her colleagues said it takes at least kind of 66 days, I'm going to give myself 3 to 4 months to complete this particular goal. And this is important within the Propel system because it feeds into the reminders that you get from the system. So the system will now know when I want to start seeing some progress and also when I want to complete my goal, and it will make sure that it reminds us at those particular times. The system will also encourage you to share your progress, so to add goal mentors, and this can be a coach, it can be a manager, it can be a friend, family, colleague, whoever it is, but they need to be someone who's going to see your behaviour change. And we can add their first name, last name and email address. What happens then is they get an email to say they've been added, and then anything that you update within your goal, they will also get an update on. So once I'm happy with that, I will click Save. This will then take us through to start being even more detailed for the particular goal. So we now need to start thinking about when we're going to have opportunities to practice this new behaviour. So the example it gives here is in my weekly meetings with my direct reports. So we can pop that in. But it could be anything. What's your trigger going to be for your new behaviour? So you write that down. It then asks you when over the next 6 weeks you're going to be able to practice that behaviour. And given that this example is within the weekly meetings, I'm going to say each of those happen on a Tuesday every week. So every week on a Tuesday, I'll be practicing my new behaviour, and my trigger will be my weekly staff meetings. We then dig down into even more detail, and it asks you to say what exactly are you going to practice. So in the example here, I will solicit input from each staff member without interrupting and summarise what I hear first before suggesting my own ideas. So we're really getting quite specific around the behaviour we're going to be demonstrating. And the system will remind you by email when you're on those days which you said you're going to practice something. So on the day of my staff meetings, I'll get an email in the morning to say, you've said you're going to practice this behaviour. And at the end of the day, I'll also get one to say, you said you were going to practice this behaviour today, and have you? As well as getting those by email, I can also set up a text message notification. So if I put my mobile number in here, it will then remind me by text message as well. So we can click Save there, and that will save our goal details. The next step is to add action items, and this can be anything you like. So I can put in here that I'm going to be attending a particular course. I might need to set up a mentoring session, whatever it might be. The system also has a really large resource library which are mapped to the particular tool that we're using. So these resources here are all mapped to determination as the area, and this here displays the top 25 resources for this particular area. So these are a mixture of books, blogs, podcasts, videos, and if I want to view them, I can click on the link here. If I want to add them to my action plan, I can click on the add button and say, okay, I want to add it. Again, I can add a few. So all the resources within the library are free of charge apart from books, and it'll take you to a website to purchase the books, and the Harvard Business Review articles are also payable, so they'll take you to a page to purchase them. But as you can see, we've started to create a list here of the action items. If I want to edit them, I can do so, and once I've completed them, I can tick it and it gets crossed out. So we can start to build up our actions. The other things you can do within the system are to start your own resource library as such in the Files and Reports tab. So we can upload PDF documents. So this could be your assessment report, any articles that you want to add to your goal, whatever it might be, and you can start your own library that's all connected in one place to your goals. You can also access the full resource library, and as I mentioned, these are all mapped to whichever tool we're using, this one being Facet 5. So if we go back into determination to view the full resource library available around determination, we can see various tabs here. So depending on your learning style, you may prefer to learn via looking at videos or books, whatever it might be, and we can click in and view each of those. Again, we can add straight to our goal and it will be put back into our action items. And where it says suggested, these are the ones we've already seen. So these are the top 25 that I mentioned previously. So there's a huge resource library available as well. We get a development feed within the system, and this gives us basically all the things that we've done within the system and the dates we've done them. So if we want to go back to any particular time point, we can just click directly on the link and it will take us back to that point in time within the system. So if we go back to our goals, we can see how many goals we've set up. We've only just done the one, but if I wanted to set up another goal based on this particular tool, I can do so, work on a couple at a time. We can also click back in to show the details. And here we can see that the action items, so I can come in here to update anything, and I can start a conversation here with a coach or goal mentors, just to kind of keep the goal process going. So if, say, I've been practicing this particular behaviour for a month now, after a month I said I hoped other people would start to see some change. But I don't know whether other people are seeing any change, so I can now request feedback from the system. So this asks you to just verify your goal, and we can make changes and edit this box as well. It asks you to invite your raters, so who do you think will have seen some change, or who do you hope would have seen some change? We can choose to collect the feedback anonymously, or we can openly do that, and we can add new raters. Again, as many raters as you want, the number is unlimited. And we can customize our invitation. So for example, we might want to add a deadline date in here. Once we're happy, we can tick continue and request feedback. Let me just show you what they will receive. So they'll receive your goal you're working on. They'll receive a question, which is based on a very simple change scale. Has the person improved, not improved, got worse, or you haven't been able to view their behaviour? There's also a comments and feedback box as well. So this wouldn't take anybody very long, probably less than a minute to complete, and it gives the individual working towards a goal some really tangible feedback on how they're doing. And they could do that every month then. So if I did this one this month, I want to track again next month, and that will show then 2 months side by side to see how I'm progressing. So that's a kind of brief overview of the system and what you get with Propel. I'm just going to now move back to the slides where I'll show you the coach portal as well, and some of the functionality within that. Okay, so as I've mentioned, there's a coach portal which integrates with the individual account on Propel. So what I've just demonstrated is the individual accounts, what each individual who is working towards goals will view and use. On top of that sits a coach portal. So when the person is working with a coach, there is an added benefit that you can also have this coach portal integrated. So this allows the coach to have access to all the features that the individual has access to within Propel. This includes the ability to set up goals, add action items, access to the resource library, creating practice plans, inviting goal mentors, and requesting feedback. In the coach portal, the coach has access to a dashboard which provides a quick snapshot of how many goals each person has initiated, and the coach can add and have as many coachees as they like within this dashboard. There's no limit. There's a section on here called Notes, which I think you can just see here. And this feature is only available in the coach portal and not in the participant portal. Within the notes section, coaches can keep confidential coaching notes that only they will have access to. And this allows the coach to just come to one place to house all of their coaching needs. So when a coach selects one of their coachees, they're taken into the individual coach's plans. This enables the coach to see the goals that have been set up, the action items, selection of goal mentors, scheduled practice plans, and goal evaluations initiated by the individual. The coach is also able to do everything that the individual can do within the system, so they can go and make changes to all of these things too. With the coach portal and the individual portal, it really becomes a two-way process. The coach will have access to the resource library within Propel, and they can also build their own resource library for use with their clients. They can add their own resources as action items for their clients too. As I mentioned previously, the coach or coachee can initiate the request for feedback, and the results can be immediately seen by both the coach and the coachee within the system. And this is what the feedback looks like. When you have a number of months or number of weeks of feedback, you'll see kind of the two lines next to each other as well. So I hope today's demonstration has shown the value of Propel in the behaviour change process. Some of the key benefits of using Propel after an assessment have taken place include that it demonstrates the ROI of the coaching process, it makes coaching more efficient, and it keeps participants focused towards their end goals. So we've now come to the end of today's presentation and the demonstration. I hope you found it useful. We have kind of 5 to 10 minutes left for questions, and we'll try to answer as many as possible. Any that we don't get to today, we'll come back to you after the webinar and answer your questions. Kieran has been monitoring the questions throughout the webinar, so I'll hand over to him to see what's come through.
Well, thank you for that, Ruth, and yeah, thank you for all your questions that you've sent through. Like Ruth said, any that we can't get to in the short time that we have now, because I understand it's midday for a lot of people and lunch is on the cards. So we have got a few topic areas that have kind of come up. So one of the topic areas is around upcoming projects. So one of the questions we've had is we're going to be starting a leadership development program in the new year, and we'll be using the MBTI as one of the development tools. Mm-hmm. So their question was kind of around how to use Propel, or could Propel be used with MBTI? So as you're in the flow of things, Ruth, if you'd like to take that one.
Okay, thanks, Kieran. So yes, Propel can be mapped to any assessments which can be linked to competencies. So as I mentioned previously, Propel is currently mapped to Facet 5 dimensions and the work behaviour inventory, but we are actively looking to map Propel to other assessments. And this could be personality, it could be strengths, styles, and so on. So we can follow up with you after the webinar and look at your requirements, but typically we run a mapping process, an exercise between the possible outcomes of the report, in this case MBTI, and the competency areas within Propel. And this enables MBTI, or the MBTI framework, to be linked to the Propel resources and the structure. We would build suggested goal statements, and then they would be uploaded into the system. And we would create a version mapped to MBTI, which would mean that an individual would complete the MBTI questionnaire, they would have their feedback or coaching session, then they would log on to Propel, and then what they'd be presented with would be the areas of MBTI that they've seen in their report. So they can easily then go on to develop their goals based on that conversation they've had with their coach. And the system would then take them through the whole goal setting process for the relevant areas. So I hope that helps to answer your question, and very happy to follow up with you afterwards to talk about your particular needs for the requirement for your project. But absolutely, Propel can be used with MBTI or any other assessment that we can map it to.
Yeah, brilliant. And we just had as you were just giving that answer there, Ruth, we just had a few more questions regarding different types of assessment. And I think, yeah, just to reiterate your point, that any competency-based assessment has the potential to be mapped to Propel. So obviously it's just judging each assessment on its merits and obviously the mapping process. But no, very good. Another kind of topic area that we've had, and it's kind of been a reoccurring question, has kind of been around whether Propel actually tries to replace a coach, given that obviously it has an extensive competency-based resource library, and obviously you have the development plans and the tracking system. So I mean, I guess that the Propel was designed not to replace the need for a coach, and the tool has kind of been designed really to actually facilitate the role of the coach in order to bring about successful behaviour change, and that's what the research has also suggested. So, however, but because Propel has, and we've tried to develop it to be as easy to use as possible, intuitive and effective, it could very well be used as a self-directed tool for leaders within an organisation, someone keen on professional development, or someone just looking at their own personal development. So no, it's to reiterate, it hasn't been designed to replace the need for a coach, but to actually make the coach's role more effective. And I don't know if there's anything you want to add on that, Ruth?
No, that sounds great. Thanks, Kieran.
Brilliant. And kind of like the other topic area we're kind of getting is, are the resources in the Propel library up to date, and how are they kind of maintained?
Okay, I'm happy to take that one. So yeah, we're very committed to making sure that we have the most useful and up-to-date resources within the system that can support the development of the leaders using the system. So we actually have a member of staff who's dedicated to this resource library and updating it each week to add, delete and modify new and existing links to books, podcasts and other media. So it's constantly being kind of looked at and revised, because we know how quickly there's new articles out there on leadership every day. So we need to keep on top of it to make sure that the most up-to-date and useful information is within the library. So absolutely, there's actually over 1,500 resources within the library on Propel. So it's a really extensive library, and like I say, being added to all the time as well.
Yeah, brilliant. And yeah, I think that's probably kind of come up to our time, I guess, Ruth.
I think it is, yeah. So we will come back to anybody who hasn't had their question answered. We'll come back to you via email. So thank you for all your questions, and thank you for attending today's webinar. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you'd like to contact me directly, you can do so at rgibson@cinemetric.com. But thank you very much again, and enjoy the rest of your day.